Hi, Regs. Before we get started, I just wanted to say that we talk a little bit about Andor in this episode. The bulk of this episode is about Kenobi, but we talk a little bit about Andor, and we recorded this back in July before the release date of Andor was changed. So we talk about it being released on August 31st. It is no longer being released on August 31st. It is now being released on September 21st. So just a little disclaimer there. Make sure you know that. And there are now 3 episodes being released on September 21st. Super exciting, but it's going to be a little later than we talk about in this episode. So without further ado, I really hope you enjoy it.
A desert planet with twin suns.
Why do I sense we've picked up another pathetic life form?
Use my knowledge. Much to learn. You still have.
Welcome back to Twin Sun Talks, folks. I'm your host, Jonah Liu. Thank you so much for listening, and welcome to this month's edition of The Ability to Speak Does Not Make You Intelligent.
The ability to speak does not make you intelligent.
On this month, once again, we have Mr. Jack Pittman. Jack, how are you?
I'm doing great. Glad to be back as always.
Yes, sir.
We had some complications for this episode.
I know, no kidding.
A couple pushbacks, but here we are.
Yeah, no, glad I could finally get y'all on. And also on is Clayton Morris. Clayton, how are you?
I'm doing awesome. Happy that you're having me back on the pod.
Heck yeah, man. Heck yeah. I'm very pumped to have y'all. So today we're just going to be talking about Obi-Wan Kenobi and just kind of our thoughts on it. But before we get started, how have y'all been? What's up in y'all's lives?
I've been great. I mean, I've just been working every day. So obviously, would rather be screwing around, but I like my office, so everything good on that front.
Yeah, no, awesome to hear. Clayton, how about you?
Been doing good. It's been busy recently, moving into my new apartment, starting grad school, but everything's moving along smoothly.
Good stuff. Alrighty, well, love to hear it. Okay, on that note, let's just dive into. I'm gonna do a joint segment since I'm sure this is going to bring up some potentially negative emotions. So we're gonna do a joint segment of I have spoken and I've got a bad feeling about this.
I have spoken.
I got a bad feeling about this.
Alrighty, so just to kind of set the stage, the Obi-Wan Kenobi show aired from May to June, to like mid-June. It was 6 episodes long, a supposedly limited series, but now there are whispers of a supposed season 2 that's coming out. So Clayton, I'm going to start with you. Could you give me just a synopsis of your just thoughts on the show before we get into a more detailed discussion?
Ooh, the show is so interesting to me because for me, it's simultaneously too rushed and too strung out. And I can elaborate on that further, but I always hear people excusing it as, oh, it was supposed to be a movie.
Yeah.
But I look at the show, and if I think about these 6 episodes condensed into a movie, I'm like, with what they tried to do, no way. But
Yeah.
Sorry, Jack?
Sorry, I was just going to say, did you see somebody did that? Like somebody created a movie out of the show?
Yeah, I did. I was looking into it. As far as I know, the editing was awesome,
Yeah.
but it kind of exposed a lot of the glaring pacing issues within the script. I think the most obvious from me, Princess Leia was captured and rescued twice within 6 episodes.
Yeah.
And I could not see that working, even if they edited down the episodes into, I don't know what he did, maybe 2 hours or so, whatever a standard movie is.
Yeah.
Interesting show to me. I don't think that I can say I loved it. I think some parts I really enjoyed and some other parts, how did that get past the drawing board?
Yep. I agree. Jack, what about you?
I mean, I watched every single episode, and after I finished every episode, I just went straight to the Star Wars group chat and talked about it. So, I mean, that kind of sums up how I felt about it. But no, I mean, there were obviously some good parts. The end, I thought was good. But I think we were talking about this in the chat, but with these in-between shows, there are just no stakes. And so it's kind of boring.
Mm-hmm.
I agree.
I do too.
And then one more thought is it almost wasn't that believable for me that all of a sudden Obi-Wan is just going to come in and beat up on Vader. I don't know.
Yeah. No, there's definitely some issues with that I have too. But yeah, no, we can definitely get into that a little bit more in the main discussion. I would say overall I liked it. I have a lot of issues with it, but I mean I think that it was fun. I think that I especially the last episode saved a lot of it for me. Just with that final confrontation and just some of the stuff that they handled. I don't know. I think that there is so much wasted potential in this show, which is really, really frustrating. And the more I think this is the case with a lot of Star Wars projects. It's kind of like the more I think about it, the more I kind of get annoyed by it. At least the stuff that's come out recently. But I would say for the most part, I liked it. And there's a lot that I am frustrated by. But that's just kind of my general consensus for it. But yeah, is there anything that y'all would like to start with on a more specific conversation?
First of all, I have to say, Jonah, you're so much more of a Star Wars optimist than Clayton.
I was about to say, I don't even think that I could say with a straight face that I said I didn't love it. I don't think I could say I liked it.
That's fair.
Jack, I wanted to say, you said that you couldn't believe that Obi-Wan beat Darth Vader, but you're forgetting that the script required it. The writer wanted it to happen, and so it was so.
Yeah.
But you're right. There was no believable build-up. I think. I'm sorry. I'll get into it later. But yeah, it's wonky writing is the name of the game with that show. I don't think that there was very intelligent plot progressions at all, really, with any of the storylines.
Yeah. No, I could agree with that.
Jack, what were you saying? Before we get into it, I haven't done that much brushing up on the plot. I don't know if y'all have. And so if y'all have, I'll definitely let y'all lead the discussion and chime in as I'm reminded of things.
I mean, I kind of I went through my old scripts for all the reviews and stuff, and that was kind of how I brushed up on it. But I didn't rewatch it or anything. But yeah, no, I'll start with I made an Instagram poll about just this show. I made a reel about it and just was like, hey, did y'all like this? And 63% of the people said they liked it. 37% said they didn't. And on the one I posted on YouTube, people kind of discussed it a little bit more in the comments, and people it seemed to be kind of similar to what I said, where it's like it was good, but XYZ issue kind of took away from it for me. And so I feel like the biggest thing that we kind of trash talked about in the group chat was the chase scene in the very first episode. So if we want to kind of start on that note, then I'd be more than happy to discuss that. If either of y'all want to take that.
I think that was the first whenever something like that happens in a show, especially the first episode, because you'd think the first episode they want to draw in the viewers to keep them for the long term, so maybe they take a little bit extra care on those little details. I remember I was just watching with a group of guys who were admittedly more critical than I am. I don't think I'm the most critical guy in the world, but I mean, I have a lot to say a lot of the times. But oh my god, that I've never heard the room groan louder than I want to preface everything I'm saying by the fact that I loved little Leia's actress. I thought if you were going to do a younger Leia, that's the perfect actress for it. Yeah. However, I think that in terms of believability, no, I don't believe that a 10-year-old girl could outrun 4 grown adults. I don't know.
Yeah.
And I think that what they were trying to go for was, hey, Princess Leia, she's a badass. She can get out of situations like that. And if it was an older Leia, sure, yeah, I would completely believe that. It's almost as if they were scared to show her getting captured too fast. It was like as if they were scared to show her being incompetent. Not that that would be, because she's a child.
Yeah.
Had that guy, Sting, right? That's who it was.
Yeah. Yeah.
Had he have just captured her right there, because there was an edit I saw on YouTube. I don't know if y'all saw it, where somebody recut the clip And she goes out to the forest, says, "What are you doing here?" And he essentially says, like, "I'm here for you." And then they just put the bag over her head,
Yep.
cutting out the entire chase scene. And I was like, yeah, she's a kid. That's what would happen. It's if she
Works
takes
so
one
well.
step to get out of
Yeah.
there. Yeah, I don't know. But sure, yeah. What a note to start the show on.
was
I
horrible.
no on that just on that I saw like that scene slowed down, and they have like the three bounty hunters. They like have like a triangle around her, right? And there's one guy that's like standing directly to her. I guess it would be left in that scene, and she starts running. This is his like arena of this triangle that he's supposed to go after. She takes like 10 steps before he takes one. It's just like there's nothing, just no thought put into this scene whatsoever. But sorry, Jack, I cut you off a little bit.
Well, first of all, I was going to ask, in that room of groans, Clayton, was Cole Palmer in the room?
No, he wasn't.
He would have been my suspect number one. But
I do have something interesting to say to that, but as if the podcast listeners would know Cole Palmer.
It's all good. It's all good.
Did y'all see that? Do you remember the YouTube video I sent where the chase scenes are sped up and it's like the wacky races music in the background or whatever? It's so funny.
It's hilarious.
Jonah, you were saying how that guy took like 10 steps, moving just a couple of yards.
Yeah.
You know, I'm wondering if that was less about trying to let Leia get a more believable lead, trying to slow down a grown adult from letting them take longer strides. And I'm wondering if that was more of a limitation of the volume that they're filming in. That if we have a chase scene where multiple people are going full speed ahead, it's like, uh-oh, we just hit the wall on the other side of the room.
Yeah, that's
So
that's not quite
slow
what
it down a little bit.
that's not quite what I meant. I'm saying Leia took like 10 steps before he even like started moving.
Oh, before
like,
he even darted after.
He just kind of stood
Okay.
there and was just like, "Oh, right."
Yeah, it's like, oh crap. I
It's
gotta
like,
go capture
yeah.
it. But see, I was
Yeah.
thinking about Jack, when you said the wacky races theme, they really home in on this shot where it's the female bounty hunter and her legs are like completely split wide open, you know, just taking like little
Yeah.
steps because
Just
otherwise,
completely
she would just
bow-legged.
immediately catch up to her.
Yeah. No. And I mean, yeah, they're like running into branches and like tripping over nothing, and just like it feels like a cartoon. There's a lot of those
Yeah.
moments in the show.
It literally
where,
does. Like, yeah, you know, like the classic cartoon, like you start running in place and then go. Like that's literally what it felt like.
honestly,
Yeah, I feel like that
I completely agree.
wind up sound.
Yeah.
Yeah. No.
I mean, they were clearly trying to go for, because you're introduced to young Leia and she's in the trees. She spends a lot of time in this forest, so she knows the layout. And I think that's what they wanted to convey, was like, hey, if someone chases her through this forest, you know, she knows the ins and outs. She's going to get out of the situation, which is not, if you want to have a chase scene with, you know, people who can clearly catch the other individual, that's probably the way to do it.
Yeah.
You know, is just show that the person who's less capable knows the layout of the land better, so they can squeeze through these little branches like they showed her. I think the idea, you know, I can't say it's great, but the idea was there. The execution, ugh,
No.
not great.
I completely agree.
Yeah.
If it was something like a briar patch that she like only she could fit through, and like she just kind of finds out like a little like passageway through, like that's something, but that's not what we got at all. But yeah, Jack, what were you saying?
Earlier, I was just gonna add on to the cartoon thing and say, oh, it's like one of the bounty hunters runs into a tree and like becomes an accordion. Like that's
No, exactly. It's like completely compresses into the tree and then like folds back out.
but no,
yeah.
it just felt so cheesy to me. I'm a big fan of darker Star Wars, and so this is like almost off topic and like out there, but I would have liked the show. Maybe it wouldn't have worked with the timeline, but like Leia is, you know, 14, 15, a little bit older, and maybe she kills one of the bounty hunters, like something like that. I would have liked Leia to be a little bit older in the show.
That's fair. I mean, I personally like the perspective of kind of a younger Leia. I agree with you what you said earlier, Clayton. I think that her actress was fantastic. I thought she was portrayed really, really well.
I did too.
But I mean, I don't know. I I don't know how much I like that storyline just as it exists in the show. That's one of my major issues with it, and we can talk about that if we're kind of off this topic. But something that I really, probably my biggest issue with the show is that it didn't, weirdly enough, focus enough on Obi-Wan, in my opinion. I feel like characters like Leia and Reva pulled a lot of focus and too much focus for the show's own good. So I'd love to hear y'all's thoughts on that.
Okay, so one, Reva is a terrible character. I think we can all agree on that.
Yeah.
We had a little audio difficulty, but we're back now and rehashing what I was saying.
Yeah.
So there were like the political issues with Reva being trashed on, and you and McGregor made that video, but I mean that was obviously not it at all for me. I think that her motivations were unclear. It's like, oh well, she's just an evil inquisitor, and then there was supposedly the big twist where it's like, oh well, actually she's trying to kill Anakin, and that was just kind of lame for me. That didn't
Yeah. I think that the concept of her being a youngling that's seeking revenge against Vader is, I would say, a more interesting storyline than I had originally thought, which was just that she was a youngling that fell to the dark side. But I think that her being a Jedi killing Inquisitor who is trying to kill Vader for killing Jedi is a little confusing. Because obviously she's done a lot of terrible things in the service of getting that revenge, which doesn't quite put those motivations, in my opinion. And just talking just quickly about the political stuff. Obviously, don't condone any of the hate that was racially motivated or anything like that. That's really, really terrible. And I think that Moses Ingram did a fine job. And I think that a lot of it does come down to writing and it just being kind of an uncompelling character overall, which is really unfortunate. I think that her character would have been serviced very well in pretty much any other show where she wasn't taking real estate up from a legacy character like Obi-Wan. I think people would have been a lot more receptive to it then. But yeah, no, I think that at the end of the day, we focus too much on her and not enough on Obi-Wan, which is really, really frustrating because there was a lot of potential to really dive into sort of the psychological trauma and look at how the past 10 years have really affected Obi-Wan. Because obviously we get to see like how he's struggling. He's cut himself off from the Force and away, and he's rusty. He's not as capable as he once was. But the thing with the show is that like it shows him like in that state of like almost incompetence or incapability, and then like he's just all of a sudden better. Like there's no real journey. It just kind of happens, and that would have been such a powerful thing to see. Sorry, go for it.
I agree, and I think that goes back to what Clayton originally said at the beginning of the podcast, is how the show felt strung out but rushed at the same time. I think it can be broken down into the story itself felt really strung out, but the development of Obi-Wan felt really rushed. And I think that's maybe what you're saying.
No, completely agree.
Mm-hmm.
You can go for it, Clayton, if you want.
Yeah, I'll just jump in here. As far as Moses Ingram's performance went, she was written to be brash, a little bit more immature. You know, she's guided by anger, so she's not making the smartest decisions. And so all of these things were portrayed well by Moses Ingram, you know, so I think that people online have a tough time separating the writing from the actor.
Yeah,
because as far as the actor went, she did everything that they wanted her to do. Yeah. You know, so I mean, I would say she did a great job acting as that character. I will say the writers did a terrible job and did Moses Ingram a huge disservice. I bet that she could have been so much better and more well received by fans had they have given her better material.
Yeah.
But I mean, your original question was, what did we think about the Reva and the Leia storylines?
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, it just goes back to my first point about the show being too strung out, too rushed, because I think that if you wanted to tell the story of Reva, an Inquisitor who became an Inquisitor out of hate and revenge for Darth Vader because he's the one that slaughtered all of her friends and her mentors, that's a powerful storyline right there. Could have been handled better in a separate project where people aren't expecting to get more out of the title character.
Yeah.
It's like if this was a 12 episode series and we could see more with Obi-Wan, great, throw that Reva storyline in there. This was a 6 episode series, not even an hour episode each. There wasn't time for them to focus in on Reva's storyline. I also interchange Reva. Is
No,
there a
you're good.
definitive answer on which one it is?
It's Reva. In the show, it's Reva. So,
Okay,
yeah.
Reva. Okay, so I'll stick with Reva. But yeah, I think that her character would have been handled way better had they have devoted a separate show to her.
Yeah, I
But
agree.
it's a thing that I feel like a lot of modern shows are doing with these big name IPs like Star Wars. They
Yeah.
know people are going to tune into an Obi-Wan show. They don't know that people are going to tune into a Reva show. So if they want to get a jump on this character's development or have her seen by as many eyes as possible, let's throw her into the show that we know everybody's going to watch. And then I know some business people are sitting there like, oh boy, think about all the spin-off potentials with these
Yep.
characters.
Mm-hmm.
And so then it's like, that she's not going to be killed off in the show. Not that I necessarily wanted her to be killed off, but for example, episode 5, Darth Vader knows that she knows that he's Anakin Skywalker. That's his biggest secret. And they've shown in comics and other media that he's not okay if people know that secret.
Oh, yeah.
He will go to the ends of the earth to make sure that people don't know. And Darth Vader, I don't know if the writers know this, but he's ruthless. He will kill you.
Yeah.
He doesn't care. So I just think that they sacrificed character traits like Darth Vader's ruthlessness in favor of keeping her alive so that they could potentially use her in a project down the line. It's just a little disheartening as a fan because it just comes down to they care a little bit more about more series, Disney Plus viewing numbers than they do about a good story.
I would agree that seems to be the case. And I'd like to talk about a potential alternate ending that I heard about, which I love in comparison to what we got. And it's that in the show as an entirety, Reva's character as she was conceived in whatever this original draft wasn't going to know that Vader was Anakin. And Obi-Wan was going to tell her this. And then that was going to kind of break her out of her spell and turn her back to the light side. And she was going to then sacrifice herself to help Obi-Wan escape. Because Obi-Wan wasn't going to be able to handle Vader. He had a mission to do to go protect Luke. So Reva was going to sacrifice herself. She was going to die. But she was going to die fighting Vader in the service of helping Obi-Wan escape. Which I think would have been really, really cool.
Yeah, just hearing I have not heard that, but just hearing you say that seems like that would have been the better story. I mean, I'm just already sitting here just imagining it, getting chills from that. I mean,
I know.
I don't know. That seems like too intelligent of a storyline though for these writers.
I know, but it's also very simple, right? Like that's such an easy thing.
There's a lot of things in this show that you think would be the simple choice. We should get Joby Harold as a podcast.
Yeah, no kidding. Sure, I got a couple questions for you. Jack, what are you saying?
We just grill him the whole time.
Well,
I had a couple things, but I didn't want to interrupt you. A couple minutes ago, you were talking about the Obi-Wan show, how it like steals from the main character. Well, I'm kind of tired of the Obi-Wan show, the Boba Fett show. I'm kind of sick of character shows. I'd rather have something more open. And I just thought of this. It's like, we have the Obi-Wan show, and then it kind of doesn't focus that much on Obi-Wan. It's just subverting expectations again.
Yeah.
But, right. Yeah. Well, they know if they call it Obi-Wan, you include more characters that you could hopefully spin off down the line. I mean, I think that's what they did with Boba Fett too. I mean,
that's exactly.
Who knows? Maybe before they saw the fan reception, there was a spin-off show in the line. What do they call those? That biker gang?
the Vespa, the modders or
Yeah,
whatever it is. Yeah,
Disney Plus, the mods.
the Power Rangers. But yeah, no, I agree. But Jack, are you talking more about like a Rogue One where it's like kind of a cast of characters that could include these legacy characters, but
Yeah,
it's
exactly.
more of a like an all encompassing story of a time period rather than like a character study.
Yeah, rather
Um,
than following a character, yeah. Because
which I think,
I
yeah.
I
Go
mean,
for
I
it.
just think
Sorry.
it leaves it more open, which I know I've talked to Clayton about this. I'm actually leaning more towards, oh, we have entirely new characters like the new show Acolyte, I think it's called.
Yeah.
And so, just on the theme of leaving shows and projects more open and not because when you do a character show, it's just kind of limited. And I mean, we had the
Yeah.
Boba Fett show where we like went off and did Mando's story, and that was a problem because it was the Boba Fett show. But
Yeah.
if it wasn't, it wouldn't have been as much of a problem.
No, I
Obviously,
agree.
it took away from the Mandalorian, but
Yeah.
in a world where like we don't have the Mandalorian or the Boba Fett show, it's just one. I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm
No.
kind of rambling, but I think you understand my point.
No,
Yeah,
no, you're good. I get what you're saying. But I mean, I think that Andor might be, even though it's like, it seems it's named after a character, I think it might be more of what you're talking about, where it's like, it's more a study of this Imperial era that we don't have too much knowledge of in canon, where it's kind of going over, it's focusing on this character, but at the same time, we're getting this perspective of this entire, like, Rise of the Empire type vibe, which I think could be kind of interesting. But yeah, as long as it's done the right way, right?
yeah. I'm Jack. You mentioned earlier because we were talking about this, those in between shows, and just to
Mhm.
clarify, in between we're talking about between episodes.
Yeah,
So stuff like Obi-Wan, and then Mandalorian, Boba Fett's a little bit different because we have a longer time gap in between movies. But
yeah,
if you're putting a show in between 3 and 4, and it involves characters like Obi-Wan, who we ultimately know what happens to Obi-Wan, we know where he's at when episode 4 starts. It just feels like these shows don't accomplish anything and there's no
Mhm.
real stakes. For example, the end of episode 5, it's this big suspenseful moment when Reva picks up the comm that Obi-Wan left behind. She finds out about Luke, and we slowly pan on Luke sleeping, and it's like, oh my god, is he gonna be okay? Like, I hope this kid doesn't die. Like, I
yeah,
hope this kid is still around to save the galaxy. It's crazy to me because really, it's like
yeah,
you're building this scene in a way that we don't know what's the ultimate fate of this character. I don't really understand why it hasn't been a bigger focus for Disney to go way further in the past or way further in the future, because it seems a lot of the flack that they get from fans is mishandling legacy characters.
mm-hmm,
But if
Mhm.
you
yep,
introduce a show with a whole new cast of characters, then you're not going to have that rabid fan base coming after you. And not that I'm necessarily like excusing the rabid fan base because they are vicious,
yeah,
but it seems like it would be a smarter business decision to give your creators as much freedom as possible
mm-hmm.
and just say, hey, you know, we don't know what's going to happen to these characters. We don't even know what the state of the galaxy is at this point in time. Just go crazy. Make a good story. We'll
Yeah.
go from there.
I completely agree. I mean, just talking about the Luke Reva thing, I hate that she even went to Tatooine. I hate that she interacted with Luke, even if he was unconscious. I think that that's another part of the show that really rubs me the wrong way. Is that like she shouldn't be alive knowing that Luke is Anakin's son. Which how does she figure? Like, okay, this is a legitimate question that I still don't know the answer to. How did she figure out that Luke was Anakin's son? Because
Did she?
it doesn't say that in the well, why else would she be there trying to kill a child?
See that?
Like,
Okay, but the
is
the
that to spite
simplest
Obi-Wan?
reasoning is that bad writing. But I
Yeah.
guess within the context of the show, it is very weird. I don't think she has a reason to believe that that's Anakin's son because she doesn't know that Leia's his son, right?
No. But
And
like
she doesn't
even
know
in
that
the
Luke is related to Leia, or Bale might say something along. Also, that Bale
I
communication,
was
that's a whole
that's
other
what I
thing
was
we
about
can
to
talk
talk about. That's, well,
about.
we can kind of merge these together.
Yeah,
But
we'll
like
merge them together. But yeah, I don't
even
think that she. I don't know. I couldn't give you a satisfied answer on that. I don't.
Even in that transmission, like he doesn't say anything about Anakin's relation to them. He just talks about the fact that they're children, which that message is idiotic. Like if you think that Obi-Wan's potentially been captured, you're gonna send a message that anyone can just open, saying like, "Oh, I hope y'all haven't been captured."
Can I
But
do
then
my
I'm just gonna
best?
spill out everything. This is their social security number and their address and their mother's maiden name. Like, come on,
Yeah,
like
can I
it's
do my
like,
best impression of that
yeah, go
transmission?
for it, go for it.
Obi-Wan, in case you're captured and in case somebody has gotten a hold of this communicator, it's me, Bail Organa, Senator of Alderaan. Look, I know you're off planet, but somebody needs to protect Luke, Anakin's son, who is with Owen and Beru Lars. So I'm going to go there myself. Let's hope that nobody else goes after him because currently he's unprotected. Bail
Yep.
Organa, Senator of Alderaan, out.
Yeah, no kidding. I mean, it's ridiculous. And it didn't
It's
even
like
occur to me in the moment, but yeah. Go for it, Jack.
it's like out of the hologram, like a wayfinder pops out.
Yeah, no,
Shit.
exactly. Here's where you can find me.
Okay. So I actually did not think about how she didn't say that it was Anakin's son or how he didn't say it was Anakin's son in the recording. I kind of just assumed that he did. I guess I didn't notice that. So yeah, there's no answer to how Riva would know that. I guess if we had the writers on here, it would just say, "Oh, well, Riva, the ultimate plot armor, like Riva is just
the
force sensitive,
Force.
extremely insightful."
The Force showed her a vision.
Yeah, no. In the novelization of the show, then it says that it's like, oh
Well,
my
actually,
gosh.
you need to watch and read all the supplementary material that you can buy from our store for $30
Exactly. Yeah, no, exactly. There's a sentence that says, and then she knew that this was Anakin's son because
She knew
she's
by the
Reva.
tone of his voice.
Oh my gosh. But yeah, no, it's just like, but I went back and watched that communication a couple times because I was like, did I miss something? I had to have missed something. Like, it's like, there's no way. And it's just like, no, she's just ready to kill a child that she met the surrogate father of one time in the city square.
Wait, can I throw one more thing before we move on?
Go for it.
Well, Bail Organa leaving this message, obviously very stupid, but can we mention how stupid Obi-Wan was too? Because didn't he just give that to Kumail Nanjiani's character? I forget
did.
his name, sorry, but
Yeah,
he gives
Haja.
it to him along with his lightsaber. By the way, I don't remember how he ever got his lightsaber back because I seem to very clearly remember him giving him his lightsaber and his communicator. Obi-Wan had to have known that message was on there. Did he listen to it earlier in the episode?
Yeah, he did.
Okay, so he didn't delete it before giving it to someone that,
Apparently not.
the first time he met not that long ago, he didn't trust.
Apparently
There's
not.
no guarantee that he's not gonna double, triple cross them.
Yeah, no, it's weird that he didn't give him to what's his character? Roken, the guy that's kind of in charge there.
A little bit more established as a safe character.
No, and yeah, it's so bizarre. And I'm guessing that since Haja, the Kumail's character, was on the transport afterwards, so I'm assuming he just like got it back.
But that's weird. Why would you ever include a scene of like, this is your lightsaber now. I'm done with this, and then like, hey, actually, I'm gonna go have an epic fight with Darth Vader. Can I get that back?
I think it was just in case he actually Riva didn't like take his bait and like actually captured him.
Yeah,
I guess it's a way to defend Leia. I don't know. Kumail's not qualified for that, but it's like,
what was he gonna do with that lightsaber? Obi-Wan knows he's not a real Jedi.
Yeah,
those things are dangerous. He's gonna hurt himself.
Yeah,
Stupid.
You know
Obi-Wan.
what?
That was stupid.
You know what I wish is that Haja's character was replaced by Hondo. I think that would have been fantastic.
God.
Could you imagine?
Imagine his first scene, he's pretending to be a Jedi, doing all that stuff, and like we would know off the bat, anyone who knows Hondo, we'd just be like, "Oh, no way!"
Yeah, but that adds that little like comedic value to it. But it's Hondo. Like it would be fantastic, and then he just shows up down the line. It's like, I didn't have anywhere else to go.
I know we got this in Rebels, where Hondo was less of like this awesome pirate captain with his whole crew, and he was just kind of on his own because he's lost everything. But like, it would have been so much funny funnier in live action too. If like we went from the Hondo in Clone Wars, who's this
Yeah.
badass pirate with the whole crew, and then all of a sudden he's just swindling people in like this little dark room, pretending like he's a
Yeah.
Jedi.
No
I don't know.
kidding.
That would
I
have been
mean,
cool to me.
that would have been hilarious. And I'm not gonna lie, I just came up with that right now. Just thinking about Kumail's character and just like the comedic value. I was like, I kind of like that. I was like, you know what? It would have been better. It's freaking Hondo, because I love Hondo. I think that he's fantastic and kind of that perfect blend of like, kind of almost a Jack Sparrow flavor of humor that would have fit really well.
Yeah. You know what? I think they didn't do it because that would have cost money to put
It
makeup
would
on
have.
someone.
It would have.
I
Well,
mean, look
I
at what they
mean,
did to the Grand Inquisitor. I have
I was
no
about
faith
to
that
say.
Hondo was going to look okay.
I was about to say they would have painted some guy's face like kind of an off brown and then glued something to his face and given him some swimming goggles. And it was like,
Oh,
hey, this is
man.
Hondo.
And he would never take the goggles off because it would reveal glaring flaws with the makeup.
Exactly. Yeah, no, they didn't put anything under the goggles, so it would have been like a weird tan line. But no, I mean, Grand Inquisitor, I will say Grand Inquisitor looked better in the show than in the promotional material. I think the eyes sold a lot.
I think
But
they
I
did
mean,
some post work. I mean, the teeth
yeah.
and the eyes. I don't think we saw
Mhm.
that in the trailer.
No. I just think it was the angles in the trailer you didn't really get to see too much, but that might be my optimism talking. But I don't know. I don't have too much else that I didn't like. If we want to pivot to some of the stuff I thought was cool. I think that minus the fact that he didn't just like behead Reva on the spot. Like aside from that, I think that Vader was actually portrayed really, really well in this show, and I think that it was really, really cool. Like I think that
Yeah.
was the best part of the show.
I mean, I think that as far as striking someone when they're down goes in this show, Darth Vader had the opportunity to do that to Reva, which I feel like he would have. I mean, he was holding the double lightsabers like he was Anakin in Episode 3 again. I thought he was going to pull a
That'd
Dooku.
be the coolest
Didn't do
parallel
it.
ever.
No, that would have been awesome.
I
And
thought so
then
too.
the last episode, before we talk about things we liked, just one more thing I really didn't like.
Okay.
Obi-Wan went into this fight knowing that one of them needs to die, and
Yeah.
then he has Darth Vader beaten. And
And he doesn't
yes, a
kill him.
big emotional scene just went by, and Obi-Wan's crying. But you also just showed him to be this fully fledged Jedi Master again, who's fully in control of himself. I just feel like no way Obi-Wan would just let Darth Vader go after knowing that it's no longer Anakin,
Yeah.
and just
no.
let this guy continue to rain terror upon the galaxy, because now, Obi-Wan, whether you like it or not, you are complicit in every further murder that Darth Vader is responsible for.
No kidding. Yeah. No. The
I have
body
something to
count.
say.
Yeah. Go for it.
I mean, he talks about, oh my gosh, like, I mean, look at this. I didn't kill Anakin on Mustafar. Like, what a grave mistake. I think he literally
He did it
talked
twice.
about in the show. And he did the same mistake twice. He
Obi-Wan,
talked about it in the show. He was positive.
Yeah.
Obi-Wan made some stupid decisions.
Yeah. No, I mean, and that being said, I'll go back to Revenge of the Sith. How cruel is it of Obi-Wan? Like, even if it's your brother and this kid that you've almost raised, you'd rather let him burn on a lava bank after being dismembered, literally cook alive. You'd rather do that than finish him off, take him behind the barn, put a bullet in his head, like put him out of his misery. Like,
that was more excusable than this, though, because at least it was
agree.
like
I would
he had
agree.
just turned bad. It's like, no, he can't just strike down his old friend. Darth Vader just told you he's not Anakin anymore. He just told
Yeah.
you, no, I killed Anakin. You didn't kill Anakin. I killed Anakin, but I'm Darth Vader now. And Obi-Wan's
Yeah.
like, okay, Darth. See ya.
Yeah. Which I did like that.
Have fun. Yeah, I like that.
Aside from the fact that he didn't kill him, because that is a glaring like. Okay, it's like I love I don't know if do y'all watch Pitch Meeting with Ryan George?
No.
Yes.
He's hilarious, but he's like, but then he doesn't kill him. He's like, oh, why is that? So the next movie can happen. He's like, oh, that makes sense. It's like that's literally it's such an obvious example of that. But that whole interaction, I think, is fantastic. I love that entire sequence.
Yeah.
So I'm willing to overlook that, but
that's the thing about in between shows is really all it does is create problems. I mean,
yeah.
When in A New Hope, when Darth Vader says, "Oh, last time we met, I was just like you were the master," like that was meant for Revenge of the Sith, not this battle, and I think it's super obvious.
Yeah. I'll actually say, and I think I've talked to y'all about this before. My headcanon with what that quote is referring to is when he says, "When I left you, I was but the learner, now I am the master." So when I left you could be referring to him leaving the Jedi Order and becoming a
Okay.
Sith, and now he's a Master of Darkness. That's my interpretation of that quote. Especially since in this show Obi-Wan leaves him, it doesn't quite line up in that
Okay, but
regard.
you're just I
So,
mean, you're just using semantics to justify it.
yep,
Like,
sure am. But
I think what would have been cool is if you want to keep that quote true for episode 4, when I left you, I was but the learner. Why not have it be a situation where Obi-Wan is going to strike down Darth Vader because he's like, you know what? You aren't Anakin anymore. You're not my friend. I'm going to put an end to your terror. And he goes for this final kill. But then that's where you reintroduce the Grand Inquisitor, who we know wasn't dead, you
yeah,
know, or just some sort of Imperial backup that stops Obi-Wan and allows Darth Vader to retreat, to leave
yeah,
Obi-Wan. Because
yeah.
now Darth Vader was beaten, so that line of "I was but the learner," but Darth Vader also left him. So when I left you, and that
Or
would have solved
yeah.
the problem of like, why would Obi-Wan let this guy go?
Or just have Vader retreat. Like, I mean,
Yeah, or
like
just
he could
that.
like
Yeah.
yeah. It's like something like that. Like, I don't know, which I don't think he would. I think he'd rather die than do that. But at the same time, I think that I agree that that would make more sense than having Obi-Wan just leave him alive. Um,
okay,
but I
let me
mean,
pose a
yeah.
question. I'm sorry, finish, Jonah. I thought you were done. My
No, no,
bad.
no. I was done.
Okay,
I was finished.
let me pose a question. Clayton and I have talked about this. Let's say that we have no idea what the Obi-Wan plot is supposed to be. You plop us in a writer's room, and obviously, like, the three of us couldn't write a script, but if we constructed a rough outline of the show, do you think it would have been more well received than this version of Obi-Wan?
Probably. I have some ideas. The biggest issue that I can't come up with is how you get Obi-Wan off Tatooine in a believable way. I think that that's the trickiest thing because I don't think it's believable in this show. I like it just because you get to see Obi-Wan in action, but I don't think that Bail Organa would go to Obi-Wan first in this situation if his daughter got kidnapped. I think that he sends out his people, and if all of his people wind up dead like 5 times, then and his daughter's missing for like a week, then maybe he goes to Obi-Wan.
Hmm.
But I
Okay,
mean,
I didn't have a problem with that. To
No,
be
no,
I
completely
I think we should pivot to stuff we like because I
yeah
did like that. I thought that if you're gonna take a character who has like he has a responsibility to watching over Luke and like
yeah
that's now his life's purpose, how do you remove him from Tatooine? Because you can't have an entire show on Tatooine. There's no, I don't know, I don't want to watch that, but
yeah
that's the smartest thing is just take the other child who needs protection and
yeah.
put them in a place of danger so that Obi-Wan can reasonably leave the planet. No, that was great. I thought
I
that
just
was the best way to
I,
do
I
it.
I just think the manner in which it happened is a little rushed. Like, you know what I mean? Like Bale, that was the first thing. Like he was ready to pick up that image caster and call Obi-Wan. And like he didn't even try. He didn't know that the Inquisitors were even behind it. Like he just knew that his daughter had been kidnapped and he's a senator. Like you
Yeah, he
can
didn't have any resources.
no, exactly. And the reason that he said like Obi-Wan even said like why didn't you try the Senate? And he's like, "Well, that would draw too much attention." It's like, "Well, why did you take Leia in the first place if
yeah.
her being your daughter would draw too much attention?" Like, you know what I mean? Like I think that him if he had tried and was like, "Hey, all my men have wound up dead. Everyone that I've sent has wound up dead. She's been gone for 5 days. We don't have any other options. We need you."
Yeah,
I
I
think
mean,
that
I
that
think
would have been a little more believable.
I think Bale knew the show was called Obi-Wan Kenobi, so that's why he needs to
It's
be the one
like,
to go
yeah.
after.
It's like,
But
man, we
also,
haven't seen Obi-Wan do anything yet. He's
yeah,
just
I
been
think the
cutting meat.
only the only reason you'd go after Obi-Wan for help is if you think the Inquisitors are involved. But if you think the Inquisitors are involved, maybe you have a strong suspicion that they're doing this to draw out Jedi, who
Yeah.
Obi-Wan is probably the most wanted Jedi besides Yoda. So, yeah, weird.
Which
weird decision not to show Bail putting more resources into finding Leia before going to Obi-Wan, but
Another interesting thing, I think that since Bale was definitely like a rebel sympathizer, right? And I think that it would have been really interesting if the Inquisitors were kind of testing him. And Reva, since she's like the more brash and kind of aggressive one of them, was like, hey, I'm going to kidnap his daughter, see if a Jedi shows up to come and get her. Because what is he going to do? He's going to send out his regular men. I'm going to kill him. What are they going to do? And so, and then who comes but Obi-Wan Kenobi? They're like, oh, jackpot. And then they bring in, because like I don't like that she was like, oh, Obi-Wan kind of knew Bale back in the Clone Wars. Maybe he'll come and save Leia. I think that was kind of clunky too. So like I think that if it was completely unexpected that Obi-Wan comes, that would have been better. And they're like, oh crap, this is Obi-Wan Kenobi, like calling Vader. I think that would have been pretty cool.
Another thing for me is why did the Grand Inquisitor seem so disinterested in Obi-Wan?
Yeah,
like,
I don't know about that.
Reva was super focused on capturing Obi-Wan, and the Grand Inquisitor was kind of like almost preventing her from doing it.
Yeah.
Like, he didn't seem interested in capturing him at all.
I don't know.
Like, he didn't want to go out of his way to do it. Do y'all not agree with that?
No, I agree. It was weird because not only did he almost prevent Reva from pursuing Obi-Wan. Do you remember episode 6 when Darth Vader wanted to go fight Obi-Wan and the Grand Inquisitor was like, no, we need to continue pursuing these rebels. Dude, your entire job is to hunt Jedi. You don't care about rebels. That's not your thing. Your thing is be an Inquisitor and go after Jedi. Oh, that was weird. Wow.
I mean, it is
another flip. The Grand Inquisitor is really in Obi-Wan's pocket.
Yeah, no, exactly. He's like, thanks, man. I appreciate it. Hey, I owe you, my buddy. Thank you.
All the Inquisitors are like, oh, let's go like check Tatooine for Jedi. The Grand Inquisitor's like, like I already cleared Tatooine.
Yeah, like, not Tatooine. Like we spent so much time over there. Like it's like, no.
Reva's like interrogating Owen. Grand Inquisitor's like, hey, Reva, I need you.
Hey, he's chill. He's chill. Like, it's like, it's fine. No, that's hilarious. That's really funny. No, I don't know. I agree. I will say, like, the whole concept of they're trying to, like, eliminate the path, right? Which is, like, the Jedi Underground Railroad. And so I think that it kind of makes sense that the Grand Inquisitor would go after the leadership of that organization rather than a single Jedi. But at the same time, it's Obi-Wan Kenobi. So it's like, I don't know. I can kind of understand that, but I agree that
that's just another one of those things of, like, I understand their intentions, but the execution with the writing just made it.
And then it's also meant to like show that Vader is like so focused on Obi-Wan that he's willing to, so whatever. But I mean, pivoting to stuff that I do like, obviously the final fight was amazing.
Mm-hmm.
I don't love the shaky cam. The shaky cam that they use in the show
is like, oh my god, the cinematography.
It's very fan filmy to me. Like it feels like it was like filmed in someone's backyard. But other than that, I thought it was really, really good. But yeah, no. And the flashback was amazing. But
speaking of fan films, Jonah, the reels you've been posting of lightsaber duels, what are the effects on that? Those are kind of cool.
Oh, thank you. I use a program called HitFilm, and I just edit them myself. I choreograph them with my buddy Sean or my brother, and then just edit them myself frame by frame, and then put them up on Instagram and YouTube. So if you want to check them out, listeners, go ahead and look us up on Instagram at Twin Sun Talks or YouTube Twin Sun Talks Podcast. Check them out; they're pretty cool.
They are pretty cool. I've seen those. I think the effects actually look awesome.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that. We try our best. But yeah, no. I mean, like, but I tried to not do shaky cam because I feel like that's distracting.
You want to see the action. Okay, wait. I swear, last thing I did not like. This was more funny than anything.
Yeah.
But Obi-Wan is the least stealthy person in the world. Thank God that he's never been in a situation where he's had to be inconspicuous and sneak around people who act like real human beings. Because that entire infiltration sequence was just another example of the show being so cartoony. There's literally like a point where he's like, sneaking through the hallway, and then stormtroopers like hear something, he just like ducks behind a corner.
Yeah, it's like there's no way you didn't see him. Like,
No,
it's
it's
like
like
he was right there.
he's sneaking into the Fortress Inquisitorius. Also, let that sink in. That's a real name, by the way. But yeah, he's sneaking in to this heavily guarded fortress just
Yeah.
by swimming under it in the water. Whereas someone 5 years prior, Cal Kestis, did the same thing. Granted, they did a lot better in that game, but like,
Yeah.
don't you think if it happens once, it's like, I think we got to figure that out, guys. We have an underwater fortress. Maybe we shouldn't let people just swim up under it.
Got to patch that up a little bit. I mean, imagine he takes out a stormtrooper right away. What if he was sneaking around in stormtrooper armor? How cool would that have been? Like,
Yeah, I mean, I think they were scared to do it because they're like, we don't want to copy Episode 4 too much.
you
But
already did.
instead they copied just Fallen Order.
Yeah. I mean, they kind of already copy. They already kind of copied Episode 4 with Obi-Wan. Obi-Wan sneaking around the Death Star might have been what they were trying to go for. But I will say the tomb underneath the Fortress Inquisitorius is pretty dope with all the Jedi
That's awesome.
that are kept in stasis or like in cryo, whatever. I think that's pretty dope. I'm interested to see. I think that ties in with like Snoke and the cloning process for Palpatine, if I had to guess. But
as long as they're not using that for more of like a, hey, in case there's a fan character that's frozen, we're gonna unfreeze them.
Yeah,
So,
they're all
here's our
actually
backup.
alive.
Yeah, as long as they're not doing that, I thought it was a really cool idea. I think it's funny,
think so
Jonah,
too.
that Obi-Wan didn't use Stormtrooper armor, but instead he just put on a big trench coat at the end.
Yeah, no, and then I had like, oh my gosh, don't even get me
that.
started
I
on
think
that.
that was pretty funny.
Yeah.
You know what?
Oh.
I'm not gonna dog on that part of the show because I got genuine laughs out of it. Horrible, but it very much amused me.
And then rip our boy Wade right after that. He gets blown out of the sky.
Wade!
Jack, what were you saying?
I was just saying, like, with the trench coat, you like it's like a cartoon. You like pile up a bunch of people like inside it. Yeah.
Have y'all watched BoJack Horseman?
No, I've heard it's good.
Oh
Though.
yeah,
There's a character that's literally like a child. Like it seems like three children stacked on top of each other in a trench coat, and it just pretends to be an adult the entire time. It's really funny. But no, that major BoJack vibes from that scene. But yeah, no. What y'all think of the flashback?
Really, really weird part on Disney with the amount of de-aging they do within Star Wars and Marvel, and all of their CGI face work that they just didn't de-age someone who's 40 and supposed to be 19.
Yeah. No,
hey,
I would agree.
Hayden Christensen looks awesome for being the age that he is. Not that he's super old, but he looks very youthful. But he doesn't look 19. Just give him a little bit of digital makeup. For someone who already looks so young, it should have been so easy.
No, I agree. No, yeah, because it's literally just like the creases in his forehead. Like he just has some lines. That's all.
Yeah,
just touch
like
it up a
very
little
minor
bit.
stuff. They just,
I
mean, his voice was spot on. He was doing Anakin from that era, but I don't know if it was a budgetary constraint. I don't know if they thought it would take away from the emotions of the scene. But like, they digitally recreated Luke Skywalker. Like in multiple series, they can't just do a little de-aging with the actor that you currently have.
Yeah. I honestly think that they probably tried and it didn't look good. That's the only explanation I have. There's no way. I don't know, but that didn't take away from that scene for me, at least. I thought his mannerisms were spot on. His voice was spot on. I'm okay. Like, I'm not going to nitpick.
Yeah. I mean, I think that as far as flashback goes, I probably would have rather a Clone Wars flashback. I think everybody was waiting for that live action Clone Wars armor. But no, it was fine. I mean, it was a nice parallel to what was happening during the episode. But I don't believe that the CGI de-aging, whatever they were doing, wouldn't look good, because if you look at Ant-Man from 2015, they de-aged Michael Douglas's character.
Oh yeah. And it looks great.
Yeah, they're taking him back like 40 years, 50 years.
Yeah,
that dude looks awesome. I was like, you could definitely do that to Anakin. And that show or that movie was what, 6 years ago?
Even Nick Fury and Captain Marvel, same thing, and he's in like the entire movie. Yeah. So I don't know, but I agree, Jack. I don't think it took away, but it was definitely like he turned around and I was like, oh, interesting. Because I was like, oh, Padawan braid. And I was like, oh, that's older. Like, that's not quite right. But yeah,
Yeah.
no, I thought it was great. I wish that they were throughout the entire show. Like, I think
Yeah.
that, like, if you're trying to fill in gaps, like any of like, because that's the biggest thing I've seen is like, oh, you can't have a show focused entirely on Obi-Wan. You kind of got to like split it up a little bit, have like a B plot, and that's where Reva comes in. It's like, okay, sure, put in flashbacks. That's your B plot. Show the past, show how that's affecting the present, tie in those moments.
Well, yeah,
I
I
don't
think
know.
that like flashbacks and shows I'm not usually the biggest fan of just because I feel like it really slows down the pace, but in this case I think they would have really worked because people
Mm-hmm.
want to see those flashbacks, but also the way that they were marketing this show when it was first announced,
Yeah.
by bringing out Hayden and bringing out Ewan,
Mm-hmm.
they really made it seem as if like because like you said you can't have the entire show be Obi-Wan or like what he's
Yeah.
up to, but like you
Mm-hmm.
need that B plot or you just need something on the side. I thought that what they were doing was you're gonna have what Obi-Wan's up to, and you're gonna have what Darth Vader's up to,
Yep.
tying in some flashbacks. They almost split the screen time equally, and it all culminates in this big
Yeah.
epic fight. And it would have just been a really simple,
Mm-hmm.
sad, but also uplifting tale.
Yeah.
But I
I
just again that would have
that's
been
what,
too cool.
of course. Yeah, no. Why would they do something like
Way
that?
too good.
No. I completely agree. That's what I was expecting from the show too, but alas. Yeah, no. Jack, do you got anything or do we want to talk about Qui-Gon?
Let's talk about Qui-Gon.
I mean, I loved Qui-Gon. I wish he had showed up sooner. I wish that this is another thing. Sorry, there's so many rewrites that I'm doing for this show just on the spot. But like, if Qui-Gon had interceded and helped Obi-Wan escape by like distracting Vader, like man, put a bow on it. Like that would have been. That's it.
Yeah, or like Obi-Wan's about to strike him down, and Qui-Gon's like, not like this.
Yeah. No.
Or just
That would have
we would have been like,
that would have explained why Obi-Wan
Yeah.
didn't kill Vader. That literally would have
Yeah,
explained
that-
it. That's so
That's
easy.
perfect. It's
we could have a
just-
podcast
we
where we
on the
just sit
spot.
down and just rewrite everything.
Hey,
We're
we can do
literally
that.
on a
I'm down for
podcast,
that.
like coming up with stuff on the spot that would have made it so much better. Like,
Yeah, and like these people sat in
put us
rooms
in
for
writer's
weeks.
room.
My gosh, yeah, I
I'm
just think
telling
that
you,
like
man.
also Qui-Gon, he looked awesome. Liam Neeson looked
He did.
great. I don't know
He
if there was
did.
CGI involved. I know he was blue and that helps a lot, but
Yeah.
I think they probably de-aged him.
It was fantastic.
Couldn't get that
And I
to
love
Hayden.
this is a complete side note, but like whenever people talk to him about like the poor reception of Phantom Menace, and he's like, I don't care. I got to be a Jedi. It's like that's the
Yeah.
best mentality possible.
that's
like
awesome.
I
He's
love
like
that.
he's the
Yeah.
type of actor that you want in Star Wars films. He's a genuine fan.
No.
Yeah, on
it's
top
fantastic.
of everything, I love Liam Neeson. I mean, I
Mhm.
love Taken. That's aside from the point. But yeah, his comments are
Yeah.
great. They asked him about Obi-Wan. He just said, how excited he was to be invited back on the project.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just so great, so genuine.
Yeah.
Same with Ewan,
Um,
too. I mean, Ewan
Oh,
loves Star Wars.
100%.
Yeah,
And- and
that
that-
is why.
yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry, Jonah.
No, go for it. Go for it.
Well, I was gonna say on that note, that's also why. Yes, I know that it would just be kind of forced if we bring back Samuel L. Jackson because we're bringing back all these dead characters. But he's also such a genuine fan, and he brings such
Yep.
an energy to roles like this that he really loves. I'm like, yeah, bring him back. Let him be Mace
Yep.
Windu again.
Dude.
It's like
Well, I know what Joe
it's so
thinks about that.
infectious when someone loves their role.
Yeah. I mean, Mace Windu's my favorite character, and I've been wanting that to happen for
Yeah,
so
bring him
long
back.
now.
I
So
don't
yeah.
care.
Like-
That's the fan service that I don't care about because they would
Exactly.
be awesome.
Yeah, no, it would be fantastic. And talking about how much Ewan likes it, I'd like to transition, and it's like I do. It makes me sad because he's like, whenever people talk about a season 2, he's like, yeah, I hope that happens because like he just loves being back and being that character. I really don't want a season 2 though. Like I
Oh.
really just don't.
Yeah.
But like, do a Clone Wars show, live action Clone Wars, please,
Or
and thank
just
you.
do a different
Like-
if you want to. I don't know. It seems like they're going to continue Reva's storyline in something, but like, yeah, Ewan can be back. Like you said, it doesn't have to be an Obi-Wan show. It could be flashbacks. He could just make a guest appearance in something else.
Yeah, I want Ewan more than than Reva though. So like I would I wouldn't I will say I will be very hesitant about a season 2. I won't be like mad, I guess, for long. I'll be kind of upset. But like just cuz that does feel like a cash grab.
Oh, 100%.
But I mean the whole concept of like the trilogy like that was originally planned, I think that they could pull it off. After hearing that, that makes me a little less hesitant because it did feel like this wrapped up really well. But I think that they could do. I think they could do it. They would probably need to be like 4 episodes rather than 6 to make it like 4 decent, like 40-minute long episodes to make it like a good, concise, solid story. But I mean, I wouldn't be opposed entirely. I on principle, I would prefer it not happen.
I have a take about cash grabs. So I obviously am a supporter of all the Star Wars content. Like I love that new Star Wars content is coming out, but
Yeah.
it almost feels a bit like diluted. I don't know if that's the correct word, but I've lost
how it
the
is.
allure. I've lost the allure of like, oh my god, there's a new Star Wars movie out. Like I cannot wait to go to the theater and see it.
Yeah.
You've just kind of lost
Yeah.
that.
Which I mean, when
My
are we going to
dad-
get a movie though? Like that's another
That's
thing
the
to
thing.
talk about. But
They got all these
5
shows lined up.
years,
But yeah, my
probably.
dad even made a comment, and it's not like he's following all this stuff, but you know, you came out with episode 7, you came out with Rogue One, then you're coming out with episode 8, then you have Solo coming out less than 6 months later. It's like, what are you doing? So
Yeah.
just slow it down a little bit.
Yeah.
But it's
Yep.
weird because Bob Iger, who was the CEO of Disney at the time, you know, he was on the right track by saying, hey, we're gonna slow down these movies. We're not gonna do them yearly because then it's not as if Star Wars is an event. Because
Yeah.
Star Wars, when Episode 7 came out, there hasn't been a movie in so long. Not that I want a necessarily 10-year break, but you
Yeah.
know, I remember that we were literally standing in line to get in the movie theater,
Mhm.
and it's not going
Yeah.
to be like that anymore. But yeah, it was weird. It was like they were on the right track. Hey, we can't come out with so much Star Wars content because it's not going to be special anymore. Hey, by that though, we just meant movies. We are going to come out with a billion TV shows.
Yeah. No. And it's wild, dude. I'm actually really looking forward to it because we're getting Andor August 31st. So it's going to be after this comes out, like a week or two after this episode's going to be coming out. Then we're getting Bad Batch in September. So we're going to be getting 2 shows at once, which is going to be wild. And then Mando right up after that. We're going to get Visions, Tales of the Jedi, Ahsoka, Skeleton Crew. It's wild. And I mean, it's a lot
to watch it. Like
I'm pretty
I'll
excited for
make
all of them
time.
actually. Like it's well, I don't know if you just saw my reel recently, either of y'all, but like it was me. Like it's like trying to stay optimistic about new Star Wars projects after everything, like after consistent disappointment. It's like everything's okay. It's like this little girl screaming. It's like I mean that's kind of how I feel. Like I mean I especially with like the podcast. It's like I'd like to try to put out some positivity, but I mean it is the thing that I'm most worried about is the first movie back, whenever that may be. That needs to be literally perfect. Like it needs to be the perfect movie, because if
Yeah.
it's not, then I think that's almost like that's the nail in the coffin. Like you're done, and
Mhm.
you can't be done with Star Wars movies. That's just not an option.
No,
So like
I agree.
yeah,
I mean, I'm never gonna get tired of the franchise, but you know, the way I see it,
I
love
might,
Star Wars.
honestly.
If you want to, well, I mean, if you want to come out with a billion new things, fine, but make sure they're good,
yeah.
because it seems like you're spreading yourself so thin that each project can't get the care that it's,
I mean that's
you know,
happening to
that's
Marvel right now.
deserving of. Yeah, it is
Yeah.
happening to Marvel, and I hate to see it because I love Marvel, but you see stuff like the VFX industry crying out that they can't
Mhm.
handle this many projects at once. You know, you have
Yeah,
a new
no.
show coming out every week. Hey, we need time to make these special effects look good. It's like it's an art, but
Yeah,
at this point, it's just they don't care about that. It's a business. You know, it's like no, we need subscribers. We need, if there's not a Star Wars show happening this month, we need one happening next month.
yeah. It's really
But-
unfortunate. Yeah.
Yeah.
And especially with Marvel, because like obviously, I mean, I have a Star Wars podcast, so obviously not a Marvel podcast. So obviously, my allegiances run much deeper with Star Wars, and I appreciate the lore a lot more. I know a lot more about it. It's a lot nearer and dear to my heart. I'm gonna stick with it longer than I will with Marvel. But I mean, like, Marvel's losing me hard,
Hmm.
hard. Like, I mean, I actually didn't hate Miss Marvel. Jeb and I just binged it recently. I would recommend binging it. I don't think it would work well as a weekly release show at all. But I think binging it was fine. It exceeded my expectations, which were pretty low. But I mean, Thor: Love and Thunder was a um, Multiverse of Madness. I liked it at first, and then after I thought about it a little more, like, I mean, it's just like they're going downhill pretty quick, in my opinion, which is a real shame.
Yeah, I mean, I will say, I know you don't have a Marvel podcast,
Oh, we,
but
we can.
it,
That's what this kind of episode's for. You can talk about whatever.
okay, well, it's the same problem that Star Wars has. I mean, these shows, I feel like they need the oversight of someone like Dave Filoni or just anyone who really cares about the lore and can
Hmm.
really quality control the amount of content coming out. Because with Marvel, let's say phase one, phase two, phase three of their movies, they didn't have the Disney Plus shows to care about.
Yeah,
And if the movies were coming out, I mean, phase one and two, like what? It was one, two Marvel movies a year. Like phase three, like
yeah,
maybe we increase those numbers to two and three. That's still like, that's enough movies coming out that Kevin Feige, who's their, creative direct, what I don't his exact title,
he's
but
the
he's involved.
president. Yeah,
The
president
well,
of
he's
Marvel.
current the president, yeah.
Yeah,
But yeah, no, he was the guy behind the scenes who was making sure that all of these storylines were consistent,
hmm,
that they were, or there's no other word to say that they were just good.
yeah,
And when you come out with a billion new movies and TV shows, you don't
yeah.
have that sort of quality control behind the scenes. You're
And
just
I
kind
think,
of trusting your directors and writers to come out with the best thing that they can. And
yeah,
sometimes it works, sometimes it's.
I think that COVID really shot him in the foot with that because they had such a low. They didn't have any content for a year, and then all the stuff that was supposed to come out in 2020 came out in 2021 alongside the stuff that was already slated for 2021. So you got like double the content in 1 year. And then it feels like they've just been playing catch up and they keep tripping over their own feet trying to like regain their footing. And I think that early on, like I liked WandaVision enough. I loved Loki, um, and stuff like that. But just as it's gone, it's just gone like tick, tick, tick. And they've just been, I feel like they've just been struggling to release these things on time. It's like, we don't really care. Like, make them
Hmm.
good. We can wait a couple more months. Like, it's fine.
Well, it's
I
the
don't
same
know.
thing with like video games. If you're going to
Yeah.
rush a video game, I don't think that that's going to be fun because now we just have to wait a couple months for them to fix it. But
Yeah.
you can't really do that with movies and TV shows.
Hmm.
It's like if you need more time on it, it's like you said, just take it. We're fine. We'd
Yeah.
rather a
It's okay.
better product.
Yeah.
Also, speaking of video games, I played Star Wars: The Old Republic recently, just to
Hmm.
kind of remind myself of what it was like. I had a genuinely good time, and it really made me wonder why open world Star Wars games are not a bigger focus at the moment.
Skywalker
Because
Saga.
I mean, okay, sorry, it's not that
Yeah.
Lego doesn't count. Lego
Yeah.
absolutely counts, but I mean, just the idea of hopping on my own ship, choosing
Yeah.
which planet I want to go to, having such a large hub for you to explore. Star Wars is just ripe for that. But
I
okay,
agree.
I know Ubisoft has their thing coming out, some game called Star Wars Eclipse,
Which
but
looks awesome.
it does look awesome. The company behind the game, I've heard iffy things about,
Yeah.
but
Same.
we'll see. Uh, but yeah, I mean,
That's good to know. I'm not a huge gamer, so I can't speak as much to that. But that's really cool. I will say I completely forgot about Skywalker Saga until this conversation right now.
Me too. I haven't played in
So
forever.
might hop on that tomorrow after work. But yeah, no. I mean, I'm always down. I might hop on either KOTOR or Old Republic and try it out. I've heard good things, or better things
KOTOR,
about.
yeah,
Yeah.
KOTOR, my favorite Star Wars story. You would
Okay.
love it.
Yeah.
Let me
Just
hop
keep in
in
mind it's
here.
very dated.
Go for it, Jack.
Speaking of open world games, the new Harry Potter open world game looks sick. Have y'all seen the
Oh
trailer
wow,
for that?
really?
Yeah, isn't
No,
it
I
supposed to come
haven't.
out soon?
Yeah, I think it. I think it. I don't have a date, but I think it's on the horizon. If you haven't seen the
Wild.
trailer, you need to watch it. It's like completely open
Okay, I
world.
will.
You choose your wizard, like what kind of wizard you want to be. in Hogwarts and like like Diagon Alley, all of that. I don't know if y'all are Harry Potter fans. I'm a huge fan.
Yeah, totally.
But
no, I love Harry Potter.
anyway, let's get back on track for Star Wars.
Yeah. Totally. And I'm probably about ready to wrap this up. Since we obviously, I figured we were going to talk for a while, but if for whatever reason we ran out of stuff to talk about, I have something that we can do next time. But it's a segment, I don't know if y'all are familiar, called Star Wars versus everything else. I've done it with a couple other guests where I just like pit a Star Wars character versus another character from another franchise. And I've recently created like a randomizable spreadsheet that I can like just do random stuff right away. But I'll keep that for another episode just because this is running kind of long. Do y'all have any final thoughts before we get into Rank of Master about just Kenobi, future Star Wars projects, whatever?
Not that I can think of.
No?
I mean, I guess my biggest takeaway, Kenobi just seems like another symptom of spreading yourself too thin with all the projects you're coming out with. I think that show could have taken a little bit more creative oversight just to make sure that, those finer details were a little bit more in place. But
I completely agree.
But it is what it is.
It is indeed. But yeah, no. Okay, good stuff. Good discussion. Let's dive into the Rank of Master.
You are on this council, but we do not grant you the rank of Master.
Alrighty. So if you're new to the podcast, every time I have guests on, what I do is I give them a quick 3-question quiz. If you pass that quiz, you move up a rank. You start as a youngling, move to Padawan, then Knight, and then Master. Once you're Master, you have the ability to challenge me for the rank of Grandmaster, which has happened once already. If you go back and listen to our 100th episode, my brother Jeb actually challenged me to the rank of Grandmaster unsuccessfully. I'm still the reigning Grandmaster. But today we actually have someone else that's going for the rank of Master. So Jack, you're in a position to go up to the rank of Master. So I'm gonna have Clayton do his quiz first. But how are you feeling?
I'm a little nervous. I'm always nervous for these quizzes because I don't want to look like an idiot on the podcast. Hopefully I'll go.
Fine, I'm sure.
I imagine I'll go 3 for 3. We'll see.
Yeah. And I'll explain the master quiz goes a little differently than the normal one, but I'll explain that in a little bit. Clayton, you've done this quiz before. You're currently a Padawan trying to get up to Knight. You're familiar with the format. I'm going to give you 3 questions of ambiguous point values. Try to explain any context around an answer if you don't know it for sure. And much like the real Jedi Council, I'll let my personal opinions and biases towards you as a person sway my decisions. So, are you ready?
Do your best.
Okay. Question number 1 is, what is the name of the Gungan leader in The Phantom Menace?
Boss Nass.
That is correct. You're 1 for 1 going into question number 2, which is, what are the rare stones that powered both lightsabers and the Death Star laser?
Kyber crystals, which actually also powered Starkiller Base, which was totally not J.J. Abrams' creative.
Oh, extra credit.
It was definitely not ripped off of anything.
No, of course. Which actually, fun fact, Starkiller. Y'all know Starkiller Base is Ilum. I know that you're like y'all are Fallen Order guys, but yeah.
I always suspected. I don't think that was probably their initial idea. I think that they were just like, oh crap, Ilum's also snow. Circular base snow, so easy.
I agree, but I think that's I don't mind. I think that's a cool little detail.
I mean, it makes sense because mass location of kyber crystals.
No, most definitely. But yes, that is correct. 2 for 2 going into question number 3, which is, what is the name of the score known colloquially as Darth Vader's theme?
The Imperial March.
That is true. Yes, correct. Sorry. Okay. Yeah. So okay, 3 for 3. Yeah, I mean, that's decisive. You're a Knight. So congratulations on moving up to the next rank. Whenever you come on next, you will have the ability to go up to the rank of Master. So congratulations. How are you feeling?
I feel powerful.
You are powerful.
I feel like I'm deserving of the Master title. Give me a seat at the council.
Next time, take a seat. You're on this council, but we do not grant you the rank of Master. Okay, so Jack, your quiz is slightly different just because in order to preserve the integrity of the segment, whenever people go up to Master, what I do is I have a numbered list of questions for the rank of Master. And what I do is I just put in, I look up random number generator on Google, and I choose 3 random numbers because I don't want my opinions to sway whichever questions I choose for whichever person. So, yeah, these are completely randomly generated questions that I feel like take a certain level of Star Wars knowledge that is exceeding those of an average fan. Like, I feel like an average fan could probably get to Knight. I try to make it so that people who have just watched the movies can get to Padawan. And oh crap, he's gone again.
That's bad timing.
Okay, we can just wait for a little bit. Clayton, how are you?
Doing good. Doing good.
Okay,
That's good.
Sorry, guys.
No, you're good. Okay, and your sound is still here, so I'm gonna keep us rolling. But okay, Jack. Basically, what I was saying was I try to make it so that people who have just watched the movies can get to the rank of Padawan. Maybe watch some of the movies and shows can get to the rank of Knight. But then I try to make it so that the rank of Master takes a certain level of expertise that it might seem easy to people like you because y'all are both pretty knowledgeable. But for the most part, I feel like it would require a level of recollection and knowledge that most people wouldn't have. So with that in mind, Jack, are you ready?
We'll see. I think so.
All right.
Oh, not confident.
On your journey to the rank of Master, question number 1 is, what is the name of the Mandalorian from the show The Mandalorian?
Din. DGIN.
Yes. That's actually not correct. But the name is correct. Din is correct. Do you know his last name by chance?
Quick, check your phone. I'll text it to you.
I would never.
You're just like,
we have integrity on this podcast. I think it starts with a J. I don't know.
you
I don't know.
can phone me in.
It's close. I'll let you phone in Clayton for partial credit.
Okay. What is it? Tell me.
It's Din Djarin. I think that's
Well,
probably where you were
I
getting.
got the initial right. I did say it started with. I should get 0.75 credit on that.
Yeah, I would agree. I think you're there. You're there. Okay, so yeah, 1.75 out of 1 going into question number 2.
Okay.
What is the name of the Jawa's transportation vehicle?
Sandcrawler.
That is correct. You are now 1.75 out of 2 going into question number 3, which is, what is Han Solo's homeworld?
Corellia.
That is correct. So you went 2.75 out of 3 on your road to Master. And while that's not a perfect score, I do think that is enough to earn you the rank of Master. So congratulations, Jack.
Thank you.
You've earned a seat on the council. The next time you come on the podcast, you have the ability to challenge me for the rank of Grandmaster, which we can discuss when the time arises. But that being said, how do you feel?
I feel great. I would have liked to go 3 for 3 straight up. I appreciate the council's generosity in letting me in.
Of course.
I was honestly a little bit surprised. I thought that I would get docked a little bit more for. I mean, I guess I just didn't know his last name, but I definitely felt it's generous.
It's the same as my brother. Whenever Jeb got the rank of Master, he got the first name and didn't get the last name, and he got the rank of Master. So I felt it only fair to, as that precedent was set, to let you in. But that being said, congratulations to both of y'all on moving up a rank.
Thank you.
Glad to have you back on the pod, and excited to have y'all on again. Maybe an Andor review, in the near future. Who knows? But that being said, this wouldn't be a proper episode if I didn't leave y'all with just a little bit more. Alrighty, so today what I have for y'all is that Darth Vader was actually 6'8", so he's a very tall individual, but Anakin Skywalker was 6'1". So the prosthetic limbs that Vader was given actually increase his height a little bit. So Just thought that was an
Ooh.
interesting little
Do you
tidbit.
think that Anakin specifically requested that?
Yeah,
Make me
no.
taller.
It's like, hey man, could you just a little bit, like just a little bit.
Make
It's
me
like 7
big.
inches.
I'm hoping the next time we hop on the pod and maybe discuss Andor, I'm hoping it's nothing but positivity because I feel like our last two podcasts, Boba Fett and Obi-Wan, unfortunately, we didn't have that many good things to say.
I also
I
felt like
don't like being so negative.
me too, and I also felt like today's pod was a little bit hectic. We were kind of all over the place today, more so than so.
It's all good.
Yeah.
I feel like it was a good conversation though. I feel like it flowed even though it was kind of everywhere. But I mean, I feel like this was still more positive than the Book of Boba Fett. I don't feel like we had as near as much, but I also didn't have. I feel like I tried to pull us back to a little more positive every once in a while.
Yeah,
You
it's funny that every time you said something positive, there was just like that one thing that we all remembered. We're like, yeah, it was cool that like Obi-Wan went to go protect Leia. But wasn't
also,
it like stupid that Bail?
Yeah, no kidding. Well, that's the funny thing is the one thing that I was like, isn't this stupid? And y'all were like, well, I actually kind of like that part. It's like, well, yeah, that's about right. But yeah, I mean, love having y'all on. Again, one of my favorite conversations that I've had on the pod. I think that y'all just provide a lot of great insight. So I'm really thankful for y'all making time. I know that it was tough to find time to make this happen because I know both of y'all are busy individuals, but I'm glad that we fit this in. Y'all have any final thoughts before I close this out?
I don't think so.
Good stuff.
No, I just I'm really working on my positivity as a Star Wars fan. But, the same as Marvel, they're really making it tough.
Good stuff. No, I agree. No, I try, but it does get hard sometimes. But that being said, thank y'all so much for listening. This was a fun episode. Hope that y'all enjoyed Obi-Wan Kenobi at least a little bit. And I hope that y'all found this conversation entertaining. But make sure you follow us on Instagram once more at Twin Sun Talks. Subscribe to us on YouTube, Twin Sun Talks Podcast. And listen to us wherever you get your podcasts by searching Twin Sun Talks. That's about all that I have for this episode. You've taken your first steps into a larger world. May the Force be with you, and I will see y'all in the next episode. Bye, friends.